This is Friday, August the 10th, and we had Glenn earlier showing his WB training preview, but now we have Ben who's going to show us PDF reporting that gets emailed, and look forward to that. Thank you for volunteering to do this again. So let me make it big. If you haven't signed up for WX DevCon 2012, talk to Tim, because he will get you set up. Right, Andy? Right. There you go. It's all yours, Ben.
Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's afternoon here with me. One of the questions I get asked a lot is how do I email things like invoices or statements to my clients? And it's actually very easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Sales Manager app, which is part of the examples, and we're just going to add emailing of reports into this application. What I will also do is once the webinar is complete, I will send Arnold the source code and he can host it for us. Okay, so let's quickly compile this. I'm running my screen in 1440 by 900 resolution, so it displays nicely on the webinar. Okay, so we go and we have the standard sales management application, and let's say we go to manage customers. Then for every customer we have some orders here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a print button in here so that we can print an order or email an order. So if we close this and we go to the parameters of the program, we obviously need the program to know what SMTP server to use, because we're going to use SMTP to email with. Inside this example application, we've already got the details for SMTP. I actually haven't looked where they're storing this, so quickly go and look where they store this. Let's go and see what we're actually looking for there. Application, the preset properties are Win parameters. Okay, if we go to Win parameters, let's see where this is stored. I will go and see this is linked. Okay, so let's go and see here. Right parameters. Okay, so one of the things that we need to do is when we are going to email, we need to read these parameters. So I'm just gonna copy this and save it somewhere where I can get access to it easily. Okay, so let's go back to our form where we want to add the emailing, and that would be the Win customer table, and we are on the order forms and we want to add emailing here. So I'm just going to drop a button in there, a little print button. Let's see what is the style here. That's okay, so we're gonna choose a style there. No, there's no style for that, so we'll just drop it there. Okay, so now we want to print this report, and we're gonna obviously in our code we will have to tell this when we print this, we're gonna have to preview report. So the command that we issue is iPreview, and we can tell it that we need it to either zoom default. I normally take 100% zoom. Then we need to print report, and obviously we need a report to print. So let's go back and see what reports are available. And in our example, there's one report called report orders, and this gives us the order information and the details. So this report looks fine. Let's quickly see what this report is consisting of. There's no code in the report, no code whatsoever, so that's fine. So let's go and look at the report description. It runs off a query called query of the report, query order with reports. So that's fine. So we need to call that query first. If we go to the queries, query with order, and let's quickly go and look at the query description. It's got one condition. Let's modify the condition and we say it's equal to P order number. Okay, so that's very basic. Okay, so we're going to report on the report called report orders, and we're going to pass it a parameter, and what we want to pass it is the current order parameter. So if we go and look at the table, we see it's this table, and the table description is called table orders, and there's our column order number. Okay, not an issue with that. Oh, did I just close that? Sorry. So let's just put that button back there. Print. Okay, so we're gonna go and do a preview. So that's I preview, and we're gonna do it on 100%, and we're gonna do I. Hold on for me. I print report, and we're going to take that report and we're going to pass it table orders, and the column number is going to be order number. Okay, so that's calling the report, and obviously we have to initialize query, and then we print the report. So let's initialize the query, and obviously we all know I init report query, and for which report is this query, and the parameters table orders dot is that column order number. Okay, sorry, and then we just call the report. We don't have to pass a parameter. Okay, so let's save this and run this and see what we get. So if we run the application again, we go to manage the customers. There's our little print button, so let's go there. There's a report order. Let's print on that order. Okay, and there we get our order number 144. And if we take that order, we print that one, order number 136, and that one we print and we get order number 603. So our report works, and obviously we can either export to PDF here or send PDF by email, but this requires us to have a mail client already installed, and let's just click on that, and then you see it opens up your default mail client, and you still have to add the email address. It attaches the PDF, but what we want to do is to open this PDF automatically and send it to the client for which we are emailing. Okay, so that's the standard without writing any other code. Okay, so let's go to this client and see if we've got an email address for this client. Yes, we've got an email address for this client. Now let me just make sure that we don't send somebody strange something. So I'm just going to change that to ribbons, and I'm going to change this to ben@ribbons.com so that we can use that one and we know where our email is supposed to be going to. Okay, so let's kill this and we're back here. So we need to do a few things now. Firstly, and I like to do this, is I like to ask the client to email or just print. Okay, so obviously I'm going to have a case statement in here. So let's put a switch in here, switch. And let's put a dialog in here, and let's use a wizard for the dialog. And do you want to email this report to the client? Okay, and let's make this one email and print. Okay, not very good options, but okay, so there's our case statement for if we want to email the report or just print the report. And because we've already got the code for printing the report, we could just pop it in there and off we go. So let's stop at that point and just run it again and see what we are getting. And you guys need to tell me if I'm going too fast or too slow, or if you're keeping up. Okay, let's go print that, and now it comes up. Do you want to email this report to the client? Either email, the code hasn't been written yet, or print, and it comes up and we can do with it whatever we want to. Anybody there?
Yes.
Okay, let's go on there. Okay, and everything's fine so far. Okay, so now what we need to do to be able to email this report, obviously, we need to get the client's email address. So let's go and get the client's email address. And this table here is called table customer. Now, one of the things which should happen is that I should be able to get the table, the customer information here directly, but I don't always trust that. So I always go and get the customer's record again before I do anything. Let's read seek first customer number, that table dot customer number. Okay, I'm not going to do error correction in here or error checking, so I can do a if and or I can do a if h found. I'm not going to do that because I know everything's here. Now I'm saying if
But normally you would do it right anyway.
ach yeah, no, you see the thing is, okay, let's do that. Let's do that.
I mean, best
Because this
practices
is
you would
example
always do
code.
it, right?
This is example code, so let's do it. Read seek first. Oops. First. This is example code, so let's do that. Now, what read seek first says, result is a boolean, true if the record was found. So I'm just interested in finding the record. I'm not interested in writing the codes for found and all of that. So I'm going to say if I find the customer, then I'm going to do something. Okay, so else. Okay, so something to that effect. So if I find the customer, I first need to see if there's an email address attached to this customer. If the customer has an email address, if the customer has an email address, else okay, so we find that the customer has an email address. So now we need to say, okay, create the PDF file from the report, and then later on we're gonna create the email to send away, and then later on we're gonna actually send the email. Okay, so those are the 3 steps of what we need to do to be able to send the email away to the customer. Obviously, first we need to create the PDF file. So let's go and create a PDF file. So I'm going to say my file name is string, and it is equal to, this is an order, and I'm going to give it the order number, and that will be this order number here. And then I'm going to say, and that will be with the extension .pdf. Okay, so now I've created a string with a file name called order, and it's called that order.pdf. So, and then I'm going to say my report destination will be um, a PDF file, and the name or the job name of the file will be my file name. Okay. Define my PDF's file name, and now I obviously need to actually create the file, and the way to create it is to print it. Okay, so let's go and initialize the query and actually print the file. So then we initialize the query and we print the file. And because I created the destination as a PDF and I did not include a print preview, it will create the PDF within that file name there. So now we've got our PDF file. Let's save that. And let's run it. And actually, well, let me see. Where does this come from? Examples. WINDEV examples, complete examples, sales management, EXE. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So let's go and run that. Go to customers. We've got ribbons. We go to that one, print the PDF, email it. Okay, now we should have a PDF created somewhere. Let's I'm not sure where it's going to create a PDF. It might actually be in my temp folder. Let's go and look in the temp folder. And let's browse this by details and a date. Okay. It's going to take a while to go and determine where it's created it. Oh, there we go. There we go. So it's in my temp folder because I haven't specified a path. And if we go and look at that PDF, there's the PDF which it's created. So we know that that part of the program works. Okay. And it's created it just now. So that part of the program works up to there. Now we're going to go and we're going to create an email to send this away. Now obviously we need to create the email, and so my message is email. Okay. My message sender equals something. Okay, so the first thing we need to go and do is, and let's go and do this. I've copied and saved this code. Is go and read the parameter to say what is the sender address. And then I will go and do the same for all of the other things which I need, and they are okay. So I'm gonna do a add, and I'm gonna do my message recipient, and I'm gonna add for the recipient the customer email. Okay. And I can also email myself, and this is the reason why you add to the recipient. So I'm going to add to my message recipients, and I'm going to add info@rebens.com. Okay, so now my message will go to two people. It will go to the customer, and it will go to me so I can see what's happening. Now in this instance I'm actually not going to do that. I'm just going to leave the code in there so that you can see that you can add multiple recipients to the
How do you
email.
add BCC? Do you have instead of recipient something else?
Yes, it will be. I haven't looked at that as BCC yet, but I'm sure it will be. Let's try that. My message dot. There we go. BCC or attachment or CC. Now anything that is array like this, you can use the add command to add multiple items into the array. And that's what we're
Ah,
doing there.
interesting. Gotcha.
Okay, you see there we've got one sender. We don't have multiple senders, but there we've got an array of recipients. So we do an add for the array for the message recipients. Okay, so once again, a single thing, which is the subject, is my message subject equals, and let's say ribbons order number and we will once again use the order number. Okay, so there's my subject, and then let's say I've got some information I want to display inside the message. Let's call it email contents. So what I can do is I can do a what they call a add RTF add. Let's just stop that for now. Let's just concentrate on the main things, and then okay, obviously my email, my attachment. Now I need to add an attachment. Okay. And I'm going to get to loading an email attachment now. And let's save that. Once my attachment is loaded, I need to load my message, my message dot message equals example email sent with WINDEV example program. Okay, and then my message dot HTML equals RTF to HTML, and it will be let's do that, my message dot message. Okay. Okay, so we've got a text portion of the message, and then we've got the HTML portion of the message. Okay, then we need to actually send the message, and let's do this by creating a session. So I'm going to do my session is, and I said we're going to use SMT, is a SMTP session, and my session server address equals, and let's go back and get those parameters. Is that server, and let's get some of the my session name, my session password, my session port, and my session option equals email option default options for the email. Okay, so what happens is sometimes your ISP gives you an open server, open SMTP port which you can work from. Sometimes not. In South Africa we don't really have open SMTP because it leads to guys using it for spamming and so on. So we need to specify the username, the password, and the port. The port normally port 25, and the username will be let's call it the username and we save the password.
Would you put 25, or would you
And
read it from your database?
there we go. I'd rather read it.
Yep.
Okay, so now we've defined our session, our SMTP session. Now we need to start the session. So email start SMTP session. And I'm not going to take the whole wizard and put everything in there, because I'm not going to put everything in here because I've already defined the session. So I'm just going to name my session. And that's how you start. Now you see there's a problem with that because it returns a value. So if that equals true, okay, so if my email is, sorry, well, I made a mistake. If I put the SMTP email start SMTP session in here, I need to define everything. Otherwise, I just say start session. It reads from here and it knows what type of session it is. Okay, so
Oh, that's handy.
start
That's nice.
SMTP session. So if I need to, if I do email start SMTP session, then I need to define everything here. I can't just say what my session is. So I don't want to do that like we just saw, because I've already created my session here. And I find doing this more intuitive than doing this. And it's also easier to read here than trying to get the stuff in there.
I agree. I
So
like that.
if my,
I like that.
yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if my session started well, then I'm going to say if my email sent.
Hey, Ben.
Yes.
Maybe I missed it, but my session is okay. That's where you initiated and declared it, right? My session equals
Yes.
PM, right? Where?
Sorry, you're breaking up a bit. Just say that again.
No, no. I was just looking at the my session. You declared it right there. You don't have line numbers, so I can't tell you what line number.
Okay. See, here I declare my email. Okay, and here I declare my session.
Okay.
Okay, so there I declare my session. I declare my email there, and then I start populating email variables. Okay, so there I declare my session, and there I populate session variables. Okay, now I'm saying start session to see if it starts successfully, and here I say session started, try and send email. Okay, and I'm saying I'm sending a message on my session, my message. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
I created my message there. I created my session. I started my session. I say, using my session, send my email. Okay. Now, if that equals false, then obviously I've got a problem. Okay. And oh sorry, email.
So do you have to close
Close
the session
session.
too? Oh, okay, you do. Okay.
My session needs to be closed. And I'll tell you now why the session needs to be closed. Okay, so, and in fact, that should be, and we do it in there. And then obviously, I need to close the session there as well. Otherwise, we're sitting with open sessions, which is not very good for us. Okay. So let's quickly go through this. So I start my session.
So you can actually put that closed session after the end then, right? Because it's you're going to close it no matter what.
Yeah, it's yeah, I can close the session there, but I'll tell you why I'm doing it this
Oh,
way.
you want that before
Is
the
the
info,
email
right?
actually gets sent? Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. Then you can say the info. I see.
Now this is just to make sure that the email can be sent. It's not actually sending the email. The email is actually sent on close session.
Okay. So you did the message up above that says unable to send message. So if you put the, oops, what happened?
No. I'm gonna get back to that now.
Because I was wondering if you can put it
Okay.
before. Can you do the end close session before that if statement then? Oh no, you can't because you're investigating
No.
that
I
there.
first need to
Yeah.
make sure that it's sending.
Yeah.
Once I'm closing the session, I don't get anything back from the session.
Yeah. Okay. That
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
that's got something which makes sure to see that the email can be sent, but the email is actually sent on the closed session.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's quickly, we're missing one other option here, and that is the option um, to actually load the load the attachment onto the email. Okay, so what we're gonna do is
Oh, so you can do a my session dot attachment, right?
yes. So what we're gonna do now is email load attachment, and we're gonna say to what um,
Message.
so we're gonna load the attachment to the message, not to the session. Okay. What I normally do is this takes space on the disk and all of that. So what I normally do is I load the attachment there after I know that the session is fine. Okay, and the name of the file is my file name. Okay, so there we go. So I load the attachment. So I start the email session, and if I know the email session is fine, then I load the attachment to the message, and then I send the message away. You could also take the attachment and you could load it directly here, but obviously I'm not doing that now. I'm loading my attachment. So I'm just minimizing the resource usage on my system.
So at the very last moment, you're doing it just because then you know for sure you're going to do it or not, right?
Yes. Now, the downside on this is if you've got lots of emails to send, then I wouldn't do it here. I would definitely do it there. But because this is just one, I'm just going to do it like this. So let's save this and run this. Okay, and let's go and put some parameters in here. And this is mail.rebans.com. Sender is ben@rebans.com. And server is mail.rebans.com. Port 25. Username and and let's go back and see if it's taken that. There we go, that's fine. So let's go back to our customers and let's just make sure that we still got the right email address, and let's take that one and print it, and let's say, do you want the email, and we email that. Okay, I could put hourglass in there to let it know when we're done. This is taking a bit long. Okay, that's taking a bit long. Let's see if there's anything that we've missed here. Customer has the email address.
Maybe it did it all in the background and we
It should have given us a little message to say that it's completed. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, there's the webinar information coming through. That hasn't sent the email away. So let's see if we take the attachment away there, and no, that won't be it. The server address there. If that is true, okay, let's put an else in here. Error starting session. Okay, we haven't had that.
Mylan says, I think my file name is not created.
No, it is created. We had a look at that. Let's go there. Let's refresh this. How do I refresh this? Refresh. Okay, let's get rid of that one. Okay, sorry, in what instance does it say it's not created?
My file name? It was created last time, right? So
Yeah, let's just compile this again. I just didn't do a check for the session. Okay, let's go to customers, ribbons, there we go, print. Ah, okay.
Boy, error checking's good, eh?
I love it. Except for, there we go. Some people complain that why didn't the compiler pick that up? Actually, the compiler can't pick that up because part of the runtime is a virtual machine, and because the system allows you to do certain things in the runtime.
Well, that's helpful that you ran into that because that makes us a little more aware of that.
Yeah. Okay,
Now,
let's see.
now let's see, doesn't the file name start with order? I think you had that, so report underscore order or something like that. Refresh, baby.
Okay, yeah, it looks like it's actually not creating that file. So why wouldn't it create the file?
Yeah,
I'm telling it the destination is my file name, and I'm doing a knit report query on that, and I'm printing that. But even if that fails, okay, let's see if there's an error code on the load attachment.
yeah, there's a result. So it's
Okay.
a function, huh? How can you tell all that without looking it up?
I don't know. I code with my help file open. I code with my help file open. So let's say that, yeah, no, I code with my help file open. So I'm not sure.
There must be a trick in because if it's looking for a result.
Yeah, then there should be some other way to do that.
Yeah, it should just kind of hit me over the head. You know what I mean?
But I think most stuff has got a return in it. Okay, so if anybody has got any ideas on why it's not creating, now's the time to speak up, or forever hold your peace.
Sounds pretty drastic.
Okay, this is the thing that happens with webinars.
Okay,
Things don't
yeah, but
perform like they're
when you
supposed
didn't
to.
email it, it created it, right?
Yes.
So that part works.
So let's see there. That part works there. But this is the destination, is where let's do this. I'm gonna do this is if we do a load email load attachment, let's do this. No, I don't have that in there. I'm going to cheat a bit, and I'm going to go and look in the system that actually does work, how that was set up. Okay. The string is set up correctly. Destination is my file name. We print the report. We build the email. The sender address, the recipient, the subject. We create a message.
So would the debugger help here?
Um, Well, let's see.
You know, to show whether or not something got created or not, or I don't know.
Okay, let's see. Let's have a look and see inside the debugger. So we're reading that. Okay. Then if the customer has the email, there's where our error is lying. But why is it not giving us that error message? Interesting. Okay. So let's kill the debugger. And see why. Okay, so what we can do is we can say links the links of the customer email address is bigger than 0. And let's run it again. There we go. That looks better. Email sent to client. Sorry for that. I'm so used to.
No, that was a good debug session right there, and it also was good to know that you checked whether or not there's a length versus just an email. Because you were saying greater than 0, right? Rather than if it was blank or not.
Well, I'm just saying if there was an email.
Yeah.
And obviously I assumed that the true value returned by the runtime would be enough to determine that there is a customer email address. And like all assumptions, the first time you use them, they fail. So rather just go and code it and make sure everything's there. Now, obviously, now we need to determine, did this thing actually send? So the first thing we can do is go to our temp directory and refresh it. And I'm not sure if it's deleting this stuff or if it's actually going into the temp directory. But let's go and look. And I'm going to show this to you guys as a forward. This is what's just landed in my inbox. And if we go and open that, there's the order that we were working with. So that is the email that was just sent to me from the program. And if we go and look at the actual, there we go. That was the message that was sent to me. So that is emailing a PDF to a client. And obviously my favorite, what we can do here.
Wait, the subject line was different, wasn't it? Or
the subject line here is ribbons order number 58, and the subject was subject
I see
ribbons order number.
Yeah, good, nice.
Okay, now there's something else I can do, and let's say I've got and it's actually not to do with the actual emailing, but I sometimes have in my system, I've got preset messages which needs to go to clients when emails are sent away. So let's go and say I've got a preset message, and this preset message is message 1 is string equals my message 1. Okay, and I've got message 2 is string equals my message 2. Okay, is message 2 is string equals my message 2. And I just want to show something here. Now, let's say, for instance, these messages, they're RTF messages, which I store in my system. And one of these RTF messages, and I'm just gonna run the other program so you can, well, if it's gonna connect to the server. And I want to show you. So one of my messages could be a, let's call it a email signature. Okay, and let's run this program here. Okay, no, that's taking way too long. So let's say one of these are an email signature, and the other one is a standard order message. What I can do is I can do the following. I create a on here. I create a RTF control called edit, and let's call it 1. And I create another RTF control, and we call it edit 2. And let's hide these controls. Okay, and we can move them off the screen so that they don't affect us, but we know they're there, and that's what's very nice with WINDEV. See there, I've got two controls I can use in my code. They're not part of the screen, and I can actually very nicely use them. So let's go back there. Say I've got those two messages, and they come somewhere from my system. So what I say is edit 1 equals, and that is my first RTF message. Edit 2 equals, and that's my second RTF message. And then I do a RTF add, edit 1 control and edit 2 control. And that actually adds the two RTF messages together. Okay, and what I will then do now is I will change my
So you can concatenate
my
that to the
system
end?
message
Oh.
that is concatenated. So what I will do now is I will, instead of doing this, I will say that, and that's my message 2, and I will take my message is RTF to text, and it's that because I've added RTF2 into RTF1. So now I say my message is RTF2 and RTF1 concatenated, and then I do RTF to HTML, and now I can do this. Okay, and let's compile that. And run that. And we go back to ribbons, and let's do that one. We print that one, email that. And obviously, I'm going to just put the hourglass in there. And I can put the, which I can do that is, and then obviously if I want to,
We got a couple of questions after you get that done dealing with your RTF thingy. Okay.
no problem. I do false because there's an error there, or there could be an error there, or there could be an error. That's done. That's done. That's done. Okay. This is a very, what do I call it, inelegant or unelegant way of doing it, but it brings the point across. Okay, so I make the hourglass false, otherwise I'm trying to click on a message with the hourglass. So let's quickly go back to my emails and see if there's a new message that's arrived for me. And there we go, and I'm just going to send it to you guys by forwarding it. And there you can see, okay, there I concatenated the two without putting enter or anything in there, but there you can see the concatenated RTF. Okay, so that's the webinar, and that's the code. Let me just save that code, and then we can go and just do a quick review. I'm telling the customer, or I'm telling the user, that he can either email or print the document. If he prints it, he does a setting of the print preview, initializes the query for the document, and he prints the document. When he emails the document, okay, I start here. This is my code. That's just an example of RTF settings. Okay, so I get the customer, see that he's got an email address, create the PDF file, create the message, create the session, open the session, make sure I can send the email. When the session closes, send the actual email, and the rest are just error codes. That's it. Okay, what's the question?
Yeah, I got a question. Is one of the properties like signature? Can you attach a signature?
We'll quickly have a look there.
And then we got a bunch of questions. Because I figure if we could do that, that could be one of the standard. Is there signature? There you go.
There's a signature. And you could do that, then my signature equals RTF to text or RTF to HTML. Well, would be RTF to text.
Would that be like an image, or would that be the text only?
I've got no idea. Let's quickly look at signature.
Why is it red?
Integer constant. Oh, this signature is certificate signature. It's not signature like we know it. That's a certificate signature, so that won't work.
So can someone ask, can you add an image on the bottom then as a signature?
Well, anything that's inside the RTF. So if you could put the image in your RTF,
Well, I guess you could have one that's,
I don't see why you could.
you could create your own ED1 signature or something, right? EDT underscore signature, and then put that at the bottom or something like that.
Yeah, but that would obviously be part of the actual message, so you need to add that into the message. What we do, and sorry, I'm not connected to my server now. In fact, my server is down, so I can't show you. But what we've done is, if I go and I send an email. Okay, if I go and I forward an email and I insert a signature, what we did is this signature. Yeah, I took that signature, created it as a RTF, and that is what I attach below the message in all the emails I send automatically out of my program. And there is a little signature in there. A little
Image, yeah.
image. So yeah, so I'm sure that whatever you can do with RTF, you could even take, and this is what I did, is I copied this as is and pasted it into a RTF control inside my program and saved it.
Well, so you can save that to the database too. So right, there's a.
Yeah, that's what I did, is I saved it to a hyperfile in the database.
Cool. Okay, the questions. Let's see. Let's see. Could you use string build parentheses message comma my message 1 comma my message 2, or does RTF act differently?
Okay, I tried doing that string build and it only gave me back the first RTF message. And that's when I came across RTF add. We actually had to add two controls. And when I'm talking about two controls, I'm talking about these two controls here. I actually had to put the RTF into the controls and add the two controls to each other. I couldn't just add the contents of the two controls or the string build like this. I couldn't add these two messages to each other with string build.
Actually, you have to have
I had to put them into controls and add the two controls together.
That's pretty tricky to figure that one out. Okay. The next question is, can we add an image? Yeah, well, you just showed that. And then Frank says, given a scenario, if emailing a bunch of customers from the database, sending a series of invoices to those clients, do you need to set up a separate session and close session for each email? Does the email send message do address checking, i.e. Address format? That's two questions.
Well, I don't know if the formatting, but I'm sure that there is the capability to do email address formatting. It won't tell you if it's the correct email address. It will just tell you if the format's correct, and that I normally do inside the program where the email is set
in
up.
the entry, right? In the entry validation.
Yeah, in there. There. I would, let's just put this into the, this is um, come on, overload. Okay. I'm still not getting
Is that in
it.
a super? Is that a super control or something?
Edit there. There we go. Open the template. There we go. So what I would do is I would put it in here. And one of the things which you do there is you say that this is actually
Input mask,
a
right?
There, yeah, email address. And then it checks automatically for you that the email address is a valid email address on the input mask. So I don't have to worry about it at the time that I'm actually using it, because at the time when it gets into the system,
Okay,
it's
so
there.
do you have to open and close each separate session for each email that you get created?
No, you don't have to. No, you don't have to. You can open one
Uh-huh.
session. See there, I'm opening a session, and then I'm checking to see if that specific email can send with that session. So I could put this in a loop here. I could create a loop here and get these as a parameter from, let's say, a queue or array or whatever we want to call it, and actually do it through here. Because I'm checking to send there, and then I'm closing my session, and then on closing the session it will send all the emails which I've put into that send message um, array or whatever you want to call it.
Cool.
So this we can do multiple times, and obviously then we don't have to close the session there. And when we close the session there, it will just send everything. And so I could have a memory table, and I set all of this up inside a memory table, um, loop through the memory table for each row of my memory table. I would then do an email send message. And if it's false, mark the thing as not sent in the memory table, and then I just close my session and I know which ones have gone out.
Oh, cool.
At this point in time, that's the next step in our invoicing system, but currently we are doing not invoices at the end of the month, we are doing invoices to the clients as we create them, and obviously only sending statements at the end of the month. But I've got a different process which does that, and we validate every statement. It's a 2 seconds, so we open and close a session for every statement, you know.
Okay. Well, that was really good. But I'm going to have to stop now and run to another
Stop.
webinar.
Yes, please.
This was really good, man. Thank you for sharing.
Okay,
This is
thank you very
excellent,
much.
and I'm sure everybody else appreciated it.
I will wrap up. Yeah, I'll wrap up the code and I'll zip it and I'll send it through to you
Okay,
for
I
for
will
hosting.
put it on WX Live. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Have a
very
great weekend,
much.
Ben.